Good morning, everyone. My name's Frankel. I'm coming to you from my new home studio. You can see my paintings up around me. I'm very excited. It's only just been finished. I'm quite nervous about my first live broadcast. So please let me know how it's going, how you can if you can hear me. I know there's a bit of an echo in the studio, which I will be rectifying quite soon. I'd love to know if you're on board. Give me a thumbs up, give me a heart, ask me questions through the video, and I will say hi to you and answer your questions. So it's lovely to have you on board. So who am I? Frankel. I've been teaching for around 20 years, and my speciality is teaching people who think they haven't got a creative bone in their body. And I'm here to tell you that as far as I'm concerned, it's an absolute myth. And I have spent the last number of years showing people how to be creative, giving them techniques as well. But for this particular video, the first one out of the box is all about 5 tips to get those creative juices flowing, even if you don't think you're creative. I'm a painter, I'm a drawer, so these can be applied to any medium. And you'll find out that sometimes no medium at all. So welcome on board. Okay, let's get down to it. 5 creative tips. The first tip I have for you is draw without the intention of finishing. And I know that sounds really quite strange. However, usually we set out to draw or paint a finished picture, and sometimes that puts too much pressure on ourselves. We have an expectation of what it might look like at the end, and we pressure ourselves in that way, and then we start finding out or start choosing to believe that it's either good or bad, and we judge things even before it gets to that end. So if you draw without the intention of actually finishing, you leave yourself open to just enjoy the process. You can finish things later. You can just draw a little bit, but nonetheless draw for the pleasure of that process, whatever that may involve. So really important one, don't have that expectation in mind of the end result to begin to get your creative juices flowing. Sometimes you can just draw for the pleasure or paint for the pleasure of doing it. And if you're even playing an instrument, just play for the pleasure of playing and not necessarily to perfect a piece. So, first tip, draw without the intention of finishing, or be creative without the intention of finishing. Next tip, observe things as if you are going to draw them or paint them. So it sounds a bit odd, but we can practice so much without actually doing the physical. Your brain is very good at understanding lots of things, and I'm not sure if you've heard, there's a tip for practicing sport, where you practice your form in your head, and apparently your brain doesn't know the difference between what you're thinking and imagining and what you're really doing, and it's a very, very good way of getting your brain to practice. So in the creative sense, what you can practice is actual observation, and half of creativity is, or half of being able to draw and paint is observation. It's based on careful observation instead of what your brain is telling you things look like. So I know that applies mostly to realistic drawing, but you will see that this type of observation will lead to all your abstract thinking, all your doodling. It's all based on what you have looked at. So how do you go about practicing without actually doing? First thing, half close your eyes. I know that sounds a bit silly, because you need to see, if you're observing, surely you need to see all the details and everything like that. But for our purposes, and often when I'm actually doing the work, half closing your eyes knocks out all the detail. And in the first instance, you don't want to see detail, you want to see general shapes of light things, general shapes of where the darkest dark is, the shapes between branches of a tree, all of those sorts of things. So if you half close your eyes, and I had a lovely teacher once tell me, I can see we have one person watching and I can't see who it is because I'm not yet sure. 2 people watching, so please give me a comment so I can see who you are. This is very exciting for my first live post. Okay, so half closing your eyes means half closing them and looking through your eyelashes. It doesn't mean squinting your eyes like this so that you get a strain in your face. So you're just stopping some of the light getting into your eyes so that you can see basic shapes. And then you don't have to worry about the detail. So it's a really nice way of looking at the world around you. Maybe some people might think you're a bit strange half closing your eyes all the time. You don't have to do it all the time. Look at the shapes between objects. We call it negative shape. Many of you may know that, but it doesn't matter if you don't know the name for it. Observe things that you don't usually look at. If you're sitting in a cafe having coffee, look at the shape between the 2 people sitting at the next table rather than looking at the actual table. Look at the shapes between the coffee handle and the coffee mug handle and the coffee cup itself. Look at the shape of the intersection of the flowers in a vase. So there's all these shapes that you can look at that you wouldn't ordinarily see, and what they're doing is they're honing your creative skills, they're practicing how you observe, and then you begin to take those things into your work. Hi Pauline, thanks, nice to have you on board. Yes, it is absolutely exciting, and I am committing to doing live videos every Friday at 10 a.m. Yeah, there, I've said it, and now I'm committed, so nice to have you on board. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3, draw or paint, but whatever it is, make a mark without actually leaving a mark. So this time you're going to use just your finger or a stick or a teaspoon or whatever you have at hand that's not going to leave a mark. So in this case, not a paintbrush loaded with paint, not a pencil, and you're literally, I'm doing it in the air, but you can do that on a table, on your computer, on the back of a chair, on your thigh. It really, really doesn't matter. And what you're going to do this time is draw, sort of, with your finger, and you're going to draw all those observations that you made in the previous one. So you're going to have your eyes follow around a shape, and you're simply going to draw around those shapes with your finger. So you're not even leaving a mark, you're just translating your observation to an imaginary line. And believe it or not, that will also get into your head. It will be a practice of transferring your observation, especially those interesting observations that you don't usually make. Don't assume that a leaf, just looks like that. Actually draw around on your leg. I'm looking at my studio at some beautiful nasturtium leaves, and those nasturtium leaves are definitely not our typical leaf shapes, and I can just sit and draw around. So I'm stopping talking because I find it quite difficult to draw and look at the line and draw at the same time as talking. So a beautiful way of getting creative without being scared of the result or anybody else seeing it. Number 4, don't wait for inspiration. Draw whatever you have in front of you. So many people say, oh, I can't draw or I can't paint today because I'm not feeling very inspired, or I haven't got an inspiring subject. I have to set up my still life. I have to get somebody to model for me. I have to go to a beautiful place. I have to look at the sunset. I have to find these things before I can be creative. And that's nonsense. Sorry to be harsh, but you have to start somewhere. So draw whatever's in front of you. Draw the dirty dishes before you've washed them up. Draw the mug that you just had coffee. Draw the TV. Draw anything you like. And you will find that the practice of doing that, or paint whatever you like, drawing is useful because it's quick and easy, so that's why I keep on referring to drawing, but they can then be translated into paintings. Draw whatever you have in front of you. Every single thing that is in front of you is made up of a collection of shapes and tones and lines and textures, and has everything you need to be able to practice your drawing and getting creative. If you wait for inspiration, you won't get it done. If you wait for inspiration and the inspiring sunset arrives, you won't have a clue how to deal with it. Or you'll see a beautiful vase of flowers in a friend's home, or you've been lucky enough to receive some flowers. Wow, I'll absolutely draw those flowers. They will or may daunt you, and you won't have a clue, and you'll get scared that you won't be able to do them justice. So draw anything. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It's very odd for a drawing teacher to say that, but it actually doesn't matter what it looks like to begin to get your creative juice flowing. The last hint for today: draw for less than 5 minutes. I often hear people saying, no, I haven't got time. And I know my mentor tells me, of course you've got time, when I say, I haven't got time to do this. And she says, just do it. You've just got to make the commitment and do it. And what I'm saying is, draw for less than 5 minutes. And what that will do is give you time that you don't think you've got. You can even draw while you're waiting for somebody to come and pick you up, or you're waiting for a phone call, or you're waiting to pick up your kids, or you've just got 5 minutes before you dish up dinner, or before your favorite program starts on TV. Everybody's got 5 minutes, and you've even got 1 minute or 2 minutes. So you can actually take 2 minutes to draw, and that fits in with our first creative hint, which is you don't have to finish anything. So just the practicing of observing and drawing. Draw for less than 5 minutes. Just do a quick doodle. Draw anything. I think I've left out one because I'm looking at my wording there. Number 4 says, draw on whatever is handy, whatever you've got at hand. So many people think you have to have a special sketchbook, special paper to draw. And no, you don't. And as I've just explained to you, you can draw on your thigh with your finger, you can draw with your teaspoon, you can draw with a stick in the sand. It doesn't really matter. You can draw with a ballpoint. And in fact, many phones, actually all smartphones, have got an app free for download which allows you to draw. And they're very easy to use. You don't have to even have a stylus to draw. You can draw with your finger. And those are fantastic because you've always got your phone with him. If you're anything like me, you've always got your phone with you. So you can just draw on the screen and it doesn't actually matter. So to recap, there's lots of ways in which you can get those creative juices flowing in ways you didn't think. First of all, draw without the intention of finishing. It doesn't matter if you don't finish. It sets you up to be a little bit more free if you're not planning on that finish. It doesn't mean that you won't finish. It means don't have that intention. Number 2, observe everything around you as if you are going to draw it. That practice starts to get those creative juices flowing, so that when you are observing and drawing at the same time, you've already got your eyes connected with your pencil or your paintbrush. Number 3, draw without even leaving a mark. Draw, as I said before, with a teaspoon. Draw with your finger on your thigh. Even if you're in a boring meeting, you can just draw the people across from you with your finger on your thigh. You'll have a little bit of mental break. You won't get so stressed. So that kind of drawing really does give you a bit of a relax. Number 4, draw with whatever you've got at hand if you want to leave a mark. So if your kids have left their crayons around, draw with them. Obviously on a piece of paper, you don't want to be drawing on the wall, or if you want to get creative like that, I wouldn't advise it though. But draw on a lined piece of paper, draw on your phone, draw on your computer, draw on the back of an envelope. So with a little ballpoint pen, it doesn't matter what you draw with or on. And lastly, draw for less than 5 minutes. Draw for 1 minute, draw for 30 seconds. You don't have to have a lot of time to draw and be creative. So, thank you for watching. If you are watching this on a replay, I would love you to put #replay in the comments. Please ask any questions. I can see nobody's been brave enough to ask questions during the live broadcast, but I've had a ball. I love talking about what I do, and hopefully the inspiration is inspiring you to get going with your creativity and get it done. I'll be doing this every Friday at 10 a.m. and I will bring you lots of different subjects. And thanks for joining me. See you next week. Get drawing.